Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Best Fleets to Drive For podcast. I'm Mark Morrell, co-creator of the Best Fleets to Drive For program, and I don't even know what month this is airing. We're recording a whole bunch of them together, but I have a lot of great conversations, and then we get them posted when they're ready. I am joined today by one of the people that I'm always very excited to have a chance to talk to, Nina Jolie from TLD Logistics, HR and Safety Manager currently, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But welcome to the program, Nina. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm okay. So I mentioned that you're currently the HR and safety manager, but you've had a variety of different jobs there since I've known you. So take us through a little bit of what TLD is all about and what you do there and what you have done there sort of in the past.
Okay. Well, TLD, obviously, we're in transportation. We pride ourselves in taking care of our employees. That is our number one attribute to everything we do. We look out for their safety, we look out for the well-being, and also for the work-life balance. It's not always an easy task to do that, but I think we've been successful with that. I think right now we're looking at our annual turnover annualized is at 38% for our fleet. But, we can always do better. I think that's one good thing that the president does is he continues to push us forward to make us one of the best places to work. As far as, demographically who we are, what we do, we're into a little bit of everything. We've got intermodal business. We have flatbed. We have dry van. We have reefer. We have roll-off container. We most recently got into a warehousing operation where we are just, part of the labor division. So we have a lot going on. We're always looking to, expand our business and expand our company.
And for those who don't know, TLD Logistics is affiliated with Toyota. So how does that relationship work?
So we are owned by Toyota to Show America. And you know what? They're a backbone to our company. They support us in everything we do, and they also push us to be better every single day.
But you're not just a private fleet for them. You're a for-hire carrier, and with that range of different freight, you're obviously not just hauling car parts. So you do like everything under the sun.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay. So, and what regions do you operate in?
All 48 states and Canada.
Okay. So you do everything, you checking all of the boxes there.
Yes, we are.
Except livestock right now.
Nope, not livestock.
Currently.
Would like to stay out of that
one. Absolutely. Okay. And so now tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and what your history has been there. Because you've done some really interesting things since I've known you. So talk about your history there.
Yeah. So I started out as an intern. I've been here 16 years this month. Started out as an intern here, and I started out in operations. Once I graduated, I moved into the safety department and was probably in safety for about 6 years. And then there was a need that arose from our corporate to be for a Kaizen position, which is continuous improvement, process flow, streamline, processes. Really it's all about efficiency. And so I took on that position. I was in that position for about 3 or 4 years. Wow, it's hard to recap my resume. For about 3 or 4 years. And then I moved into the HR department. Actually, it started out as a project for Kaizen. And then, lucky me, I moved into that as the HR supervisor and then to the HR manager in about, 2019. That we had something happen that there was a need for a safety manager, and that's how I am where I'm at today.
Wow. Yeah. So you've worked your way around a lot of different departments there.
Yes.
Okay. And I saw the effects when you were doing the Kaizen projects, because I would see every year on your Best Fleets questionnaire all the new things that you're working on. But what were some of the things that stand out for you as the high points of some of those special projects?
Well, so with our corporate, obviously, one of the most important things is safety. And then, pretty close behind that is obviously your outstanding accounts of, your accounts payable. And so we actually tackled, because if you're not getting paid, we tackled a project, and it took about 6 weeks for us to tackle a project to figure out, what the delay was with our customers on payment and payment terms. And we actually got that reduced. It was about 90 days average. We got that down to about 30 days just through the process improvement. We worked with safety on, work-related injuries, and we were able to reduce some of that. And then we also worked with customer relations. So being affiliated with TAI, a lot of our customers, we all kind of operate under that same mentality of plan, do, check, act, which is part of the Kaizen process. And so, if there's ever an issue, one of the most recent actually that we've worked on was there was a drop lot that we had at our customer's location. And so we Kaizened that to make that lot better for our employees, not only for our employees, but also for anybody else that went into that drop lot. And it took us a little bit, but we got there, and now that customer and our employees, they're all pretty happy with the result of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you glossed over a little bit, but this is one of the things that you guys do that I think works really well, that whole plan, do, check, act. Mm-hmm. So take us through a little bit of how you apply that, what each of those stages, it seems self-explanatory, and a lot of people probably think that they're doing that, but how do you do that, and how do you make that part of your process?
It's a continuous process, to be honest. We're constantly having to go back and recheck, because I'm going ahead to the check phase, and I apologize for that. But, we all pretty much understand plan, do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that part of the process, the plan phase takes, a little bit. It probably takes, depending on what the project size is, it should take you a significant amount of time to plan what you want to do and for that plan to be successful. And then you actually implement, at which point then you have to go back and check your results. You're going to have to test, and you're checking to make sure what you're doing is effective. And then you act on that. And so the check act part of that process it's continuous, because every day our environment changes, and that's a part of continuous improvement, is go back, check your results. If it's not working, revise how you're doing the program, check your SOPs. Honestly, you're tweaking your programs daily.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the things that I notice when we're talking to best fleets, and at this time of year in the spring, we're talking to the current winners and the participants, and doing consultations, and people are asking for how they can get better. And one of the things that comes up pretty consistently is a lot of fleets will have a program where they're getting input from their drivers. They get a really good program to collect feedback from their drivers. And they've also got very good at actually using that feedback. So they get like 50 suggestions from the drivers, and they will actually go and implement like 20 of them that are reasonable. But where a lot of them kind of stop, and where they kind of miss, is that they don't tell people that. They sort of stop at that point. It's like, okay, we got our 50 suggestions, we've implemented 20 of them. All right, we're all done now. But that's not the case. You have to actually go back and tell the drivers what you did, explain why you can't do certain things that you can't do, and then revise that and continue to sort of look at the things you have done and say, okay, well, what's working and what needs to be changed. So it doesn't end when you actually do something based on the feedback. That's only, like, in your model, it's only halfway through. You've got it done, you're only halfway through. But I always find that funny that people sort of miss that. Oh, we have to communicate it back, or oh, we have to do something as a result. So that, I think, is a big part of it. I see that in the things that you do, that you've got this continuous process of looking at it and saying, well, what's working? Is it actually doing what we need to do? So yeah, very important part of it, getting that, getting it out there for everybody.
Yeah, it's actually, it's not only are we doing that with feedback that we obtain from our drivers, but our drivers are constantly coming in telling us, hey, we should do this, we should do this. So again, we implement what we can, we communicate it out, and then we follow back up. We measure our results. And if you're not measuring those results, you never know if your program's effective.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually go back through our programs annually and try to make sure that what we have in place is still effective. It's still efficient. And if it's not, we go back and look at that program.
Yeah, one of the things that you do to get driver feedback and share with drivers the things that you're doing is committees, and you've got a pretty well established driver committee. So just give us a little bit of an overview of how you have that set up, and what your committee structure looks like.
So we have a committee, and the committee, it involves CDL employees or CDL drivers. It involves, members of management. It involves office employees that have CDLs that actually are out training our employees every day, or our drivers. We have maintenance members on that committee. We have our techs on committees. Because at the end of the day, I can sit in on a committee, but if I'm making a decision for something that looks good on paper, but I'm not the end user of the product, it's not going to matter. It's not going to go. It's not going to be successful for the people it needs to be successful for. So our committees are made up of various groups.
And
From
you have
management all the way, again, to trainees, just entered the industry.
Now, that's an interesting point, that it's not just people that have been around the company for a long time. It's different tenure levels as well.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, that makes a difference, because you see not just people that are used to how you do things, but people that are coming in and seeing it for the first time. What's their impression?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of times what we've, and this is not groundbreaking news to anybody, but, your generational gaps there. Honestly, we can have technology. We can bring in new technology to our company, and, our more tenured employees or drivers, they're not necessarily fans of it, but the ones that are just coming into the industry, they're fine with it. They love it. They want to see more of it. And so that's what's really important. I mean, you've got to find that balance of, it's not just your old timers anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you also have those committees that are your committee with driver representation that are part of your corporate strategy meetings, which is not very common. So how do you make that work?
Some feelings do get hurt from time to time. But we're successful because, we're huge into the open door policy. No matter what, if that meeting is happening or it's not happening, I can assure you the president of our company knows what our drivers are thinking, because they talk to him and they tell him. And so he relays that back down to us. So for them to be there, it's normal for us. They help us develop ideas or correct our thinking on certain things. I may think that this is a great idea because I'm looking at compliance. It's, you've got to be, it's a tough balance, but our drivers may say, wait, you're looking at it the wrong way. You should be looking at it like this. And at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure that I'm successful with my driving force. I have to have their buy-in. And so I'm going to figure out a way to make our plans meld together to be successful.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the programs that I know we wanted to talk about, which I think is fantastic, is your changing lanes, bringing in drivers. It's a bit of a kind of second chance for people that are kind of re-entering society. So talk us a little bit about that. How did that come about, and how do you make that work?
But honestly, we are really big at providing second chances to all of our employees. Somebody makes a mistake, everybody makes mistakes. And so, we've never been that company to say, we're not going to invest in you anymore because you've done this. We look at, what this person has potential. So we decided to take it a step further and involve the, candidates who've been justice involved at one point or another in their lifetime. Because most of the time they're all really great people, and they do need somebody to step out on that ledge and, give them that one opportunity to make their life successful again. We've had really good success with it. Some of the most respectful people that I know, and they take care of us, they take care of the equipment, they're eager to learn, they want to do a good job, and it's been good for us, on the moral side, but also, on the profitability side.
So I imagine you had to make a fair bit of adjustment to your operational process to make that program a success. So what kind of things did you have to change internally or with customers to get that running?
So we didn't outwardly announce it to any of our customers because you know what, that is confidential information of who those candidates are. And we don't want anyone being judged just by their past. So we didn't announce that portion to anyone. We changed our hiring criteria a little bit. And then for those candidates, we think it's important that they actually get out and away from wherever it was that, their past was. And so we actually put them on an account, and this is all, they all agree to this. But we put them on an account that usually has them out about 2 weeks at a time. What we found is actually most people really like to stay out longer. They don't want to come home. They don't want to come back to the terminal. It's more of a Midwest account, so they're pretty far away from here, and they're happy with it. They live in their trucks. Sometimes they'll need a break, and we bring them in and we let them take off time for that. But some candidates, they'll want to be home every month, so we make sure we're meeting their requirements. But we also get them back on the road when they're ready, and we've made some adjustments, but it's worked out really well for them and us.
Interesting. What about internally? Were there adjustments that needed to be made, or communication that needed to be done, or is it equally confidential and people don't know?
My goal is for that to be confidential because, again, I don't want I don't want a dispatcher that may, not like someone.
Sure.
Judging based off the book value, right? So I've tried my best to make sure that info is confidential for everybody.
I see. So this is one of those things that we should stop talking about right now.
It's up to you.
It's a publicly known program.
It is.
Just the details are confidential.
Yes. Well, yes. And mainly, so everyone knows we have this program, but I try to keep individual information out of the program as much as I can. Obviously, it's going to leak, and if that person wants to tell, a lot of people do want to tell their past. They want to tell their history. They want people to see their growth. But as far as I'm concerned, I always try to, make sure it's not coming from someone in the office spreading something that they don't really know about. We've actually worked with our Senate to help get programs approved for these candidates. We have grants that the state helps us with to help give them subsidies while they're in training, tools for the job that they need once they graduate from the program. It's been a real big success for us.
Wow, that's cool.
When I say yes, I mainly mean that person.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's fantastic. Something else that you do that's a little bit different, also still sort of on the hiring and bringing in new drivers. You're working with several different CDL schools in your area. So talk to us a little bit about how you do new entrants, how you bring them in and help them to have success.
So we have two CDL schools that we operate ourselves. And with the new ELDT regulations, that's we make sure we're following those regulations. But we've also added things to the program because, our goal is when we're bringing people through our school that we want them to come work for us. It's not a requirement, but, that's our goal. So we've figured out what our issues are internally once slip, trip, fall issues, backing issues. Some people struggle with actually pulling onto the scale. So we've put all that, even though it's not necessarily a requirement for the program, for the ELDT, we've built that into our school. So our school lasts longer than what is mandated by the government. But we've had really good success. We actually did a total revamp of that program last year, and the feedback has been wonderful. It's, drivers are learning more, drivers are getting more value out of it. And, a lot of times what we'll find is that they're coming to us to get a CDL, but they're wanting to go be a local dump truck driver. Well, we're okay. We're wanting to do our part for the industry and help relieve some of the stresses that our industry is having as far as, turnover or not enough CDL candidates in the pipeline. So.
And do you have a particular process that you followed for figuring out which schools are going to be a good fit for you?
Actually, we process that candidate internally once they apply. We don't really seek candidates from other schools that much. Our goal is to get them to come into our school. But we're always glad to have someone coming into our industry that already has their CDL.
Right.
If they don't have the experience, we'll put them through a 6-week training program.
Okay.
Yes, and that consists of over the road training as well as localized training, and it's a good 6-week program for them, and we'll evaluate them afterwards. And if we think they need a little bit more, then we're going to put them back in and until they're ready to go.
Nice. Okay. Moving into a bit of a different area, one of the things that sticks out, that's something drivers are always in favor of, but not that many fleets are offering, on maintenance after hours. You've got a maintenance department that runs outside of normal business hours. I have to imagine that's one of the places that drivers really feel happy with your services, because we see it over and over on driver surveys that they don't like sitting around waiting for maintenance to happen. But at the same time, the headache for the fleet is that now they've got to have a bunch of technicians that are working overnight and weekends, and that's sometimes tricky. So is that something that you've had to work at to get technicians available to keep that department running smoothly?
I will tell you, the technician market, it's pretty tight. It's stringent right now to find technicians in general. But as far as our corporate makeup, we have always had after hours maintenance. For at least 10 years, we have always had that. So it's not something necessarily new to us. I honestly didn't realize it was rare.
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
Really?
It is. Well, it's rare. It's pretty common for fleets to be doing their own makeup, doing their own maintenance and tune-ups and oil changes and things like that on their equipment. But the standard is still the drivers are kind of waiting around, and it's a couple of hours at the terminal, and sometimes it will be extended hours. But there are not that many fleets that have got like a 24/7 kind of offering where it's always available and you kind of drop off your truck and somebody takes care of it while you're on home time. Like that's what drivers would like, for sure.
I feel like, honestly, that's our drivers. They're coming in on the weekends and they're writing their truck up, and yes, it is their expectation that it's repaired before they go back out, or the oil is changed, or it's had the PM service, the annual inspections. And our mechanics, they work, it's a swing shift, so they'll work you have one set that works 3 days, the next one works 4 days, and it swings back and forth. And they don't complain about it. I think they're pretty happy with their schedules. The drivers are. And we have another shop that does that exact same thing, so it's good for our drivers. I just didn't realize. I guess I figured everybody. Oh, shifts. I didn't know that. Impressive. Okay.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that stands out for you.
Yeah.
Stands out for you guys, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Something else that stands out is the way you plan for and address natural disasters. This is becoming more of a common issue, that there's more of them that drivers have to deal with, and fleets have that challenge of trying to keep things moving. And so operating the variety of equipment that you do and the extended area that you do, that must be something that is a challenge, is staying on top of that and having plans for it. How do you do that?
It is. It's another one of those programs that we evaluate annually. So it's like a 4-stage process. So one of those phases are we review our plan, and then the next phase is we actually implement an emergency drill. And it's not just a fire drill. It's something that where we're actually implementing, we're enacting that plan as if it were something that was really happening.
That's interesting.
Yes, so we're actually getting everyone involved that needs to be involved in whatever that scenario is. And then we're going back and we're reviewing our results from enacting the plan, and we're making changes to the plan based on performance. So it's actually an in-depth process, but it's well worth it. I mean, at the end of the day, if something like that happens, we have to make sure our drivers are okay. We have to make sure our customers are okay. We have to make sure we can still operate as normal.
You don't see very many people actually doing drills, practicing it. I mean, the fire drills, yeah, that's pretty standard. That people hear the fire alarm and they'll debate whether they want to get out of their desk and actually do something. And eventually they'll start wandering towards the door, hoping that it stops before they have to go outside. But that's the extent of it. So actually doing something, for the broader set of possible emergencies, that's really uncommon, but important, because you need to know that you're actually able to execute if the time comes.
Yes, and we find areas of improvement every time. I mean, we're looking at our vendors, what the downtime would be if the power goes out, what the downtime is if your water goes out, if your internet is down. We're looking at every bit of that to make sure that we have a backup plan in place to make sure that everyone is taken care of.
And that, I would say, epitomizes the experience that I've had sort of watching you over the past several years. Is you guys are a very organized company, and you in particular are very organized and very much on planning, and like you certainly embody that plan, do check, but check the plan, then act on it and go back and do it over and over. Everything that I've seen from you guys sort of follows that. And just the fact that you're actually thinking about your disaster planning and testing it out and making adjustments, that is consistent with what I've seen in every category, everything that we look at that you guys are part of. So that's a really good example. I also wanted to talk about a totally different thing, social events, sort of going the opposite side of natural disasters is the fun stuff. And do you do some things that are kind of different there? So I want to talk about that for a little bit.
Oh man, we do tailgates. Right now it's baseball season. So right now we have a porch for our local team here, which is the University of Tennessee college baseball. So they have a porch for every single game. And what it's it's at the field, but it's literally like a porch, and you can have a bunch of different people on there just in case you don't know. But yeah, it's a porch, and we go, we have I don't know how many tickets. It's several tickets that we pass out to drivers and employees, and they're able to participate in those events if they're in town. And our drivers love it. It's a good team building. It's a good way to meet other people in the company that they may not know or that we may not know. And then you also have minor league, I guess it's minor league baseball, the Smokies. So we have Smokies tickets that we're giving away to our employees all the time. And everybody loves taking their families to those games because it's a good family environment. So we'll let drivers take their families to those environments. And if somebody's a huge baseball fanatic, there you go. We're going to give it to that person. If they ask first, it's first come, first serve. It's not just because you go every time you get to go now. It's not how it works. So, but yeah, that's, our drivers enjoy it. We enjoy it. Have the same thing for football season. We have football tickets that, we have tailgating parties that our drivers come to. Anybody that shows up, basically they'll get a ticket to go into the game if they want to. If you don't want to go in the game, you don't have to go into the game. But yeah.
No, it's a nice way of looking at it. That isn't just, if we're going to do a social event, it has to be a barbecue in the yard. Right. There's a lot of fleets think about social activities in terms of things that they do while everybody is at the terminal. And yes, you kind of go in a different direction, go off site, let's do something elsewhere, and let's do something that's fun, but also as a bit of a local support flavor to it, and you're supporting your local team. So not difficult. It'd be something that anybody could be doing, not super expensive,
Right.
really good value. So yeah, really nice way to build the team. And like you say, both drivers and office staff and maintenance, anybody who's around and interested can participate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the Best Fleets program. Specifically, you've been involved for several years in the program and have made the list like pretty much every year you've been involved in the program. I think you've been on the top 20. So let's talk a little bit about your process, sort of how you prep for it, what you do. Is there anything that you do through the year to get ready? Like, how do you go through all of that?
Me personally, and I could probably speak for the president when I say this, we are constantly thinking about the best fleets. So just as soon as we're wrapping up, we submit our survey in November, our questionnaire in November, we're already thinking what we're adding for next year. And I keep a list, have a list in a folder that I'm already, like, we may not put something on our questionnaire this year. We may wait and put it next year because we know it's going to carry more weight next year. Right. You have to be strategic. And so, if it's something new we just rolled out, we may not want to put it on there this year because next year we can talk about it more, right? But so I'm constantly making a list of don't forget about this, don't forget about this, because there's so much that we deal with on a day-to-day. And when you're looking at that questionnaire, just getting the information in there is a difficult task. So I always keep a notebook that says it's my reminder, basically. So that's where I usually start. And then, once we're nominated, at that point, we're getting management together, we're getting supervisors together. Everyone is verifying questions. We're adding to the questions. We get together as a group every week. And we'll review the questions, see if there's anything somebody's missed or that we need to add. Because most of the time we're forgetting something actually pretty significant to our program, right?
You do it every day, you tend to forget it, right?
Yes, you do. Yes. And so that's, I am detail oriented. So I have the final look at the questionnaire, but I have support to help me fill out the questionnaire, which thank goodness, because it's quite tedious, but it's well worth it. This process helps us improve every year. So not only am I trying to think every year as soon as we're submitting that survey, and our company, not only are we always trying to think what are we doing, but we're always looking at our results to improve. And this program is what we base our improvement off of every year. We will go back and look. What have we done this year? What have we changed? What have we improved? Where can we do better? And we use the books that you all give out at the event in March. We use those to flip back and forth through. Everybody in management gets one. We're looking through it to see where we were against our peers and where we need to be. And that's sort of where we try to focus our improvement on. So honestly, we use your program for improvement. It's part of the Kaizen process.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's two things that you said in there that tend to be themes from what I've seen of Best Fleets. One is that you have a team of people that are involved. It's not just one person trying to do it on their own. You may be the point person, but you're sort of convening other helpers across different departments. And the second thing is that working on it throughout the year. That's something that's really emerged, I've noticed, as a way to get through it and have a better chance of actually capturing all the things that you're doing. Is just sort of keeping a notebook of all of those. I like the idea of having the results book distributed to different managers to share and think about it. That's good. They probably would get something out of that by looking at what other people are doing as well. Absolutely.
I don't know if you've ever seen me, but when the books are laid out on the table after the event, I'm going and I'm getting a big stack, and that is because I'm bringing that stack, and we use them, bringing that stack back to the management team here.
That's
it's a very valuable tool. Yeah.
I see people grabbing books, and it's usually one or two that they will take, and it will be kind of the leadership team that may have one or two. but I haven't seen very many people kind of taking it and giving it to all the different department managers. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And then we also use the report after the recap report after, the one that you all sent recently. We get performance on that too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. So with all of that, I'm very interested in seeing what you come up with for next year. You always have a lot of great ideas, and not just great ideas, but I will point out, and I've said this on public presentations before, it is always such a joy to read your responses because they're nicely formatted in bullets. And it is so much easier to read a bullet list than dense marketing filled paragraphs. So it will say, we continue doing this, but have added this. Oh,
yes.
So nice. Yeah.
Honestly, I have to commend you all because I don't know how you all do what you do, because there is so much content in here that, just making it through our own is very difficult, reading it and really focusing in on that detail. I commend you all, not only for the program, but for taking the time to do this for our industry. It really is a great program. It helps the whole industry improve, but it helps our company improve every year. So I thank you all. I know that it is not an easy job.
No, it's not, which is why we've hired a bunch of people to do it so that we don't have to do it all ourselves anymore. But that's great. That's a good process. It's a good way of approaching it and a good way of sharing that information. So that brings me to the end of the things that I wanted to talk about. But any last thoughts before we wrap up?
No, just that you all have really changed our industry with this program, and I hope it continues to be a part of our industry, at least my world, for the next several years.
All right. Well, thanks very much for being a participant on this episode. Fabulous insights and information as always. And that will wrap us up. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.